So, book 11 is called A Gathering of Shades. If you remember, shades is the word that they would use for ghosts, dead people, that kind of thing. Totally appropriate title because this is where Odysseus goes to the underworld. Not a whole lot of time is spent on the trip there. It seems as if they just sail and get there pretty easily. It's interesting. It almost sounds like they could be heading to the way far north, but who knows? This is very strange. Page 185 in your text. We bore down on the ship at the sea's edge and launched her on the salt immortal sea, stepping our mast and spar in the black ship, embarked the ram and you, and went aboard in tears, with bitter and sore dread upon us. But now a breeze came up for us astern, a canvas bellying land breeze, hail shipmate sent by the singing nymph with sun bright hair. That's code for Circe. She sent them a good breeze to get them going. So we made fast the braces, took our thwarts, and let the wind and steersman work the ship with full sails spread all day above our coursing, till the sun dipped and all the ways grew dark upon the fathomless, unresting sea. By night our ship ran onward toward the ocean's bourne, the realm and region of the men of winter, hidden in mist and cloud. Never the flaming eye of Helios lights on those men at morning, when he climbs the sky of stars, nor in descending earthward out of heaven. Ruinous night being rove over those wretches. So that's why I'm saying it sounds kind of like the very far north. You know how certain times in Alaska they don't have any daylight at all. So if someone would actually sail far enough north, say in the Northern Europe area, it would be the same thing. So perhaps someone had sailed there and told Homer about it, and he decided to include that in his poem as the location of the underworld. I'm not sure, but it's kind of interesting to think about how much of the lands that he describes are actual lands and then how much are just made out of his imagination. So it's about line 21. We made the land, put Ram and you ashore, and took our way along the ocean stream to find the place foretold for us by Circe. There Perimedes and Eurylochus pinioned the sacred beasts. With my drawn blade, I spaded up the votive pit and poured libations round it to the unnumbered dead. So he uses his sword to dig, which would be kind of difficult, but anyway. Sweet milk and honey, then sweet wine, and at last clear water, and I scattered barley down. So he's basically following the directions that Circe had told him about. Then I addressed the blurred and breathless dead, vowing to slaughter my best heifer for them before she calved at home in Ithaca, and burn the choice bits on the altar fire. As for Tiresias, I swore to sacrifice a black lamb, handsomest of all our flock, thus to assuage the nations of the dead. I pledged these rites, then slashed the lamb and you, letting their black blood stream into the well pit. Now the souls gathered, stirring out of Erebus, brides and young men, and men grown old in pain, and tender girls whose hearts were new to grief. Many were there too, torn by brazen lance heads, battle slain, bearing still their bloody gear. So he's seeing all these dead souls, all different kinds, and he makes a reference to those who definitely had been killed in the Trojan War. They still have their armor on and they still look bloody. So in this concept of the underworld, people look the same. They have their bodies and they look the same as when they died, basically, it seems. From every side they came and sought the pit with rustling cries, and I grew sick with fear. But presently I gave command to my officers to flay those sheep the bronze cut down, and make burnt offerings of flesh to the gods below, to sovereign Death, to pale Persephone. Meanwhile I crouched with my drawn sword to keep the surging phantoms from the bloody pit, till I should know the presence of Tiresias. So here's what they're doing in case you don't have a clear picture in your mind. They're letting the blood run into the ground on top of this whole area that they've made ready with the libations and all of that. And then Odysseus is guarding it with his sword. He has to keep all the other shades away until Tiresias comes. So he's, poking at them, trying to keep them away. And he tells his men to take the rest of the animals and make a burnt sacrifice to Hades and Persephone so that everyone's going to be happy. One shade came first, Elpenor of our company, who lay unburied still on the wide earth as we had left him, dead in Circe's hall, untouched, unmourned, when other cares compelled us. Now when I saw him there, I wept for pity and called out to him, How is this, Elpenor? How could you journey to the western gloom swifter foot than I in the black lugger? He sighed and answered, it's just so funny, as nobody had realized he wasn't even with them, and nobody had missed him. And so Odysseus is like, oh, wait a second, how'd you get here? So here's his story. Son of great Laertes, Odysseus, master mariner and soldier, bad luck shadowed me, and no kindly power. In noble death I drank with so much wine. Bless you. I slept on Circe's roof, then could not see the long, steep backward ladder coming down, and fell that height. My neck bone buckled under, snapped, and my spirit found this well of dark. Now hear the grace I pray for in the name of those back in the world, not here, your wife and father, he who gave you bread in childhood, and your only child, your only son Telemachus, long ago left at home. When you make sail and put these lodgings of dim death behind, you will moor ship, I know, upon Aea Island. There, O my lord, remember me, I pray. Do not abandon me, unwept, unburied, to tempt the gods' wrath while you sail for home. But fire my corpse and all the gear I had, and build a cairn for me above the breakers, an unknown sailor's mark for men to come. Heap up the mound there and implant upon it the oar I pulled in life with my companions. So he wants them to stop back at Circe's island and bury him, burn his body, make a mound of stones as a marker, and plant the ore that he always pulled in that mound of stones so that he is not doomed to wandering the earth the rest of his whole life. He ceased, and I replied, Unhappy spirit, I promise you the barrow and the burial. So we conversed, and grimly at a distance, with my long sword between, guarding the blood, while the faint image of the lad spoke on. Now came the soul of Anticlea, dead, my mother, daughter of Autolycus, dead now, though living still when I took ship for holy Troy. Seeing this ghost, I grieved, but held her off, through pain on pain of tears, till I should know the presence of Tiresias. Soon from the dark, that prince of Thebes came forward, bearing a golden staff, and he addressed me. Son of Laertes and the gods of old, Odysseus, master of landways and seaways, why leave the blazing sun, O man of woe, to see the cold dead and the joyless region? Stand clear, put up your sword. Let me but taste of blood, I shall speak true. At this I stepped aside, and in the scabbard let my long sword ring home to the pommel silver, as he bent down to the somber blood. Then spoke the prince of those with gift of speech. Just in case this picture isn't clear in your mind, when you have a sword and you have the holder for it, the scabbard, you have that ring, and you could have your sword out. You could put it partially away, but that way you're more ready, or you could put it all the way in. And that's what he does. So the sword rings home to the pommel silver. He's putting it completely away. He's done guarding the blood, and he kind of makes that clear. So Tiresias laps them up and then gives this information. Great captain, a fair wind and the honey lights of home are all you seek, but anguish lies ahead. The god who thunders on the land prepares it. That's a reference to Earthshaker, the god Poseidon. Not to be shaken from your track, implacable, in rancor for the sun whose eye you blinded. One narrow strait may take you through his blows, denial of yourself, restraint of shipmates. So Odysseus has to walk a really narrow line. He has to take a straight path and deny himself and haul in his shipmates.